I want to warn the United States and their President Joe Biden. If you continue to interfere in the affairs of Taiwan, which are our responsibility, we will have to take the initiative and respond with greater firmness, including taking a stance in support of Russia, which is experiencing your injustices.
Hey, what's up, America? Hey, I hate to alert everybody to this, but this is happening right now. So apparently the Chinese military is moving a fuckload of tanks and amphibious equipment to the Fuzhou province of China, which is the one that's bordering Taiwan, water border, of course, since they don't have a land border. But there's one column of them right there. And of course, here's top of the line PLA tanks that are also on train cars heading to the coastal provinces facing Taiwan. And of course, here's trucks bringing tanks, I'm assuming, to trains. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's where they're going. And this is also near coastal China, heading towards the direction that would be facing Taiwan. And it is from what I can tell, overall with the videos I've seen on Twitter, it is a fuckload of equipment, way more than I've ever seen in my entire natural life in this capacity. And just real quick, I'm going to give you a look at what we're dealing with. These are amphibious tanks, so they float in the water and they fire while they're floating. So that's what we're looking at right here, which is fucking horrifying if you think about it.
As tensions continue to rise between Japan and China, it seems that Japan is gearing up for the possibility of a military confrontation. While China has the world's largest land army and the largest submarine fleet, Japan has been focusing its efforts on building its military might, particularly in terms of aircraft carriers. In a move that could potentially change the balance of power in the region, Japan has unveiled its most significant military expansion since World War II. With a whopping $320 billion plan, the once unthinkable will see Japan become the third biggest military spender globally, following closely behind the United States and China. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida addressed the nation and emphasized that Japan is at a turning point in history and that the military buildup was his answer to the various security challenges that the country faces. This sweeping plan marks a dramatic departure from Japan's pacifist tradition and indicates a significant shift in its foreign policy. Kishida's government is deeply concerned about Russia's recent invasion of Ukraine, which could embolden China to attack Taiwan. Such an attack could pose a grave threat to nearby Japanese islands, disrupting the supply of advanced semiconductors and cutting off critical sea lanes that supply oil from the Middle East. The proposed military expansion is a clear signal that Japan is ready to protect its interests and respond to any potential security threats that may arise in the future. The ongoing conflict between Japan and China is centered on a small, uninhabited group of islands in the East China Sea, known as Senkaku in Japan and Diaoyu in China. Both countries claim these islands as their own, and tensions continue to rise as each nation digs in its heels. The islands themselves may not seem like much at first glance, but their strategic location makes them a valuable prize. Surrounded by prime fishing grounds and undersea oil deposits, whoever lays claim to the islands could reap substantial economic benefits. Japan argues that the islands have always been part of its territory, both historically and by international law. However, China claims that the islands were stolen by Japan in 1895 and should have been returned after World War II. Adding fuel to the fire, Chinese Coast Guard and fishing boats routinely violate Japanese waters, raising concerns about potential clashes between the two nations. With both sides refusing to back down, the Senkaku or Diaoyu Islands continue to be a hotly contested flashpoint in the ongoing Japan-China conflict. As tensions between Japan and China continue to rise, Japan is looking to bolster its military capabilities to ensure that it can hold its own in the event of a conflict. While it is building stronger relationships with established military powers like the US and the UK, powerful weapons at the ready. And that's where its aircraft carriers come in, especially the impressive JSI Zumo. These massive vessels are like floating cities that can project power across the seas, making them a key tool in any potential conflict with China. With its powerful jets and advanced weaponry, the Izumo is a true powerhouse that can strike fear into the hearts of Japan's enemies. And Japan knows that it needs to have these types of capabilities if it wants to be taken seriously on the world stage. The JS Izumo has undergone an interesting journey. Originally built as a helicopter-carrying destroyer, it was upgraded into an aircraft carrier that could counter its Chinese equivalent. It's going to be the first aircraft carrier that is operated by Japan since World War II after its redesigning. The aircraft carrier has a length of 248 meters, a beam of 38 meters, and a draft of 7.5 meters. However, the Izumo has neither a ski jump nor a catapult, which are typical features used in launching fixed-wing aircraft. If Izumo were to operate fixed-wing aircraft, it would be limited to short takeoff vertical landing aircraft, or STOVL aircraft for short. One such aircraft is the American F-35B, which is widely regarded as the most advanced and intelligent stealth jet ever to grace the skies. This STOVL approach seemed manageable enough for Japan's Ministry of Defense. Despite already having the conventional version of the F-35, the F-35A, Japan announced that it would purchase about 40 F-35B to be shared between Izumo and its sister carrier, Kaga. The Izumo has an air defense suite consisting of 2 Phalanx and 2 CRAM Close in Weapon Systems CIWS. It has a wide array of sensors, processing equipment, electronic warfare, and decoys that enable it to spot and counter threats in time. All of these are powered by a propulsion system of a KOGAG with 2 shafts and 4 GIHILM 2500 IEC gas turbines that produce up to 112,100 horsepower, equivalent to 83,600 kilowatts. This propulsion system thrusts the Izumo to a top speed of 30 knots and provides enough power across the entire ship to serve a complement of 520 people. All of these features and capabilities add to give the Izumo a price tag of just over $1 billion. With the JS Izumo leading the charge, Japan is ready to give China a run for its money. If there's one thing that scares the Chinese more than Godzilla, it's the thought of a fully armed and operational Japanese aircraft carrier. So watch out, China, because with the Izumo on the high seas, Japan is going to bring the heat.
You mark my words, America is going to get destroyed. We will fall. They'll start off attacking our grid, knocking the power out around the country. It will never come back on. People won't know what's going on. It's going to be days, weeks, months. There won't be no communication from the outside world to us, or even us with our loved ones. There won't be no phones, internet, television. People will start looting. People will start killing people. People will riot. There won't be no police force. There won't be any hospitals up and running. This is exactly what they want. They will sit back, our enemies, and watch us go to war with ourselves. Then they will start the airstrikes. They will hit us from the ocean. They will hit us from the sky. They will beat this land up with bombs. And when they think we are at our weakest, they will send in the ground troops for a full invasion. Because here's the thing, God has put it in their hearts to do so. It's divine intervention. It's going to happen. It must happen. There's nothing I could say to you to convince you that this is America, but that just tells me you're not in the spirit.
Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rukok Radash. The Lord, my teachers, the apostles and elders of the Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, I wanted to do a World War III update, and primarily in the Asian region of the world. But before I get into that, let's read this. This is Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathens round about. Now, as we've seen in this video, you're seeing Moab, which is China, and Japan, which is Ammon, preparing for war. And just as the rest of the heathen nations are also doing, right? You're seeing Saudi Arabia, Iran, and all the other Arab and Ishmaelite countries gathering themselves, preparing themselves to the battle. You have Russia doubling down and strengthening its military stance. And then you have the BRICS consortium, which are coming together and growing even larger. And in doing so, they're joining forces and waking up and getting ready to the battle. Because what we're going to see, what I believe is going to happen in the next couple of months, is you're going to see war break out in the Asian region, namely due to Taiwan and China invading it and America trying to defend it in the way of Japan being the defense. You see, America, just like in Ukraine, is likely not going to commit to the battle firsthand, but they're going to provide support for a proxy country, namely Japan. This is why Japan has a lot of these American-made weaponry. This is why they're ordering 40 more of those F-35B fighters. Now, ultimately, this is all going to lead to a grand war, which is going to end there in the valley of Jehoshaphat in the Middle East, because that's where Bible prophecy says it's going to happen. And before that, there's also another prophecy that says what that man just referred to, that America is going to be invaded. Now, that can be found in Ezekiel 38 and 10. Thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. That's America, right? Babylon the Great. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, and to take a great spoil? And that's what's going to happen. You see, all the people here in America, when this goes down, they're going to be befuddled. They're going to be astonished that America is being invaded. But look at what's going on right now around the borders of America. There are military-aged men, Russian, Chinese, all these different nations, being allowed to come in. And why is that? Well, these are going to be, more than likely, sleeper cells that are going to be positioned in certain places, and then, like the man said, that they're going to be attacking the grid, they're going to be attacking certain things here and there, and they're going to be performing strategic attacks upon America. And then, once they've crippled America to the point where Esau has the reasoning to call martial law, or to, take out more of people's rights, then that's where you're going to see even bigger invasion. And then this is what's going to cause Esau to go all out and take his army and his military over there to the Middle East. Right? This is what's going to happen. It tells you the Arab countries are going to inflict a great damage upon Esau, but then Esau's going to come back and he's going to destroy a lot of these people, these heathens. But again, that's ultimately going to lead to World War III. But again, these are things that we got to watch out for, Akim. We got to pay attention to all this stuff so that way we know where we are in prophecy. This is Joel 3:2. I will also gather all the nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. And like I said, right, there has to be a reason why the Lord, or why all these nations are going to head over into the Middle East. Now, I believe what we're seeing over there happening right now in the land of Syria, which is right above the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is basically to the east of Israel, right, or east of Jerusalem, I should say. There's a big hot point there where America's caught, basically being the aggressor when it was pretending to be the liberator and the protector of the oil fields. Right now that Syria is, for the most part, no longer having an internal conflict, basically America has no reason to be in that land and taking over those oil fields. And in fact, they've been shown that they're basically stealing Syria's oil. Now, that being said, this, along with all the other turmoil that's going on in that area, from Iraq, Iran, right? Israel right now is about to deport all the foreigners who have been let into the country, right? They're trying to secure themselves, batten down the hatches, I guess you could say, and basically get everybody out of that land. And this is because Esau knows his time is short, and he's basically preparing himself for the battle, just like these other nations are, right? What did it say in that video about Japan? That Japan surprised China and America with its billion-dollar aircraft carrier. Because why? Well, because like the scriptures said, like the prophecies say, the Lord has commanded these heathens, he's put it on their spirit for them to turn their pruning hooks into spears. Basically, the resources that they had for agricultural or just, for the public, he's put it on the spirit of these heathens to use that to make weapons of war, to make ready for the battle. This is Revelations 11:14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And we could see that World War III every month is getting closer and closer to being a reality. Right? We're already hearing conversations about there being a forced military draft here in America. This is why they've been sending out redeployment letters to military personnel that have left to ask them to come back. This is why in schools, sophomore or is it junior and senior, they're being more serious about signing the selective services contracts. Next, let's read this. This is Zechariah 1:3. Therefore say thou unto them, Thus saith Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai of hosts, Turn ye unto me, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will turn unto you, saith Yahweh of hosts. Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, Thus saith Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai of hosts, Turn ye now from your evil ways, and from your evil doings. But they did not hear nor hearken unto me, saith Yahweh. Your fathers where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? But my words and my statutes, which I commanded my servants, the prophets, did they not take hold of your fathers? And they returned and said, Like as the Yahweh of hosts thought to do unto us according to our ways and according to our doings, so hath he dealt with us. So all the prophecies, Akim, that we've been learning, that you've been taught, that we've discovered, line up with our history. The Lord isn't playing. The Lord is making it very plain that if we don't have him, if we don't turn back to him like our fathers did not, the Lord is going to destroy us, right? And remember, this is the time we've been waiting for. In fact, this is the time our ancestors have been waiting for us to get to. You are the one your ancestors have been waiting for, to make it to the kingdom, to be prepared, and to help bring your line into the kingdom. So that being said, we got to stand firm, continue to learn, watch out for these prophecies that are coming to pass, and stay vigilant. Don't get involved in any of this crazy election rhetoric that's going to be coming out in these next couple of months. Remember, next year in November is when all this stuff is going to go down as far as elections, right? And we're going to go through a whole year of campaigning and drama, and they're going to bring the BLM back, and they're going to bring the whole C-19 back, and they're going to do all these things. They're going to bring lockdowns back. We're already starting to see the beginning of that. But again, we got to stand firm, Akim. Don't get involved in any of it. Remember, we got to make it to the end. And in doing so, the best way to do it is to get right with the Lord. Come back to him. Study, learn, find your true history, your true heritage, and get ready for this spiritual battle we're fastly going into. So hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rukok Radash. Shalom.